True, which he alludes to later on with Esau. So we know it's, there's an element of that he would have probably, would have been consistent, if you will, in his thinking.
Jim, one of the things I was thinking about as I read through the story is I was thinking about, you just kind of see a layered image of, you take Jacob and you take David's life and then Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, if you'll remember when David's running from Saul,
Right?
he goes out in the cave and all the people that came out with him, they were the people who were in debt, and they were the rejects and the reprobates, and the outcasts of society, if you put it that way.
Right.
So he comes, and that becomes, because they believed in David and they knew that he was God's anointed, and they followed him, they became the core of his basically his cabinet. They were his mighty men. They were the bedrock of his empire. And so, same with these sheep here. He picks the speckled and the mottled and the lesser sheep.
Right.
And so it's the same thing that Yeshua does with us, is he takes us into the much who's forgiven. Much will love much. So.
Right, because we obviously weren't the Pharisees.
Right.
The chosen, well-bred, higher status,
They just pretended they weren't spotted and modeled.
I think they had spots, yes.
But the thing is they wouldn't be those sheep weren't acceptable for sacrifice.
Oh, that's true.
And so he takes something that's not acceptable for sacrifice, and then he works it to where we become perfect and we're able to be offered up.
I think that's an excellent point. I definitely hadn't thought in that direction.
Maybe after all the drugging or whatever. The other land, they made.
You're not letting them off the hook, are you?
Well, cleaner breeds. He didn't care. He
Yeah.
knew that maybe cutting them with other, they had clean breeds to sacrifice.
Okay, so these are, very simply, these are the reasons why it's time to go. Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's, he hath gotten all his glory. There's murmurings going on. Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as it was before.
She never was really good.
I see Groucho with his cigar, but it was never really good to begin with. And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Now there, then it's sealed. Then that's definitely why we're going.
Good question.
I think it really is. And I think it's open for discussion.
Because she knew that whoever held the idols inherited what Laban had.
She won.
If he died, if it didn't work out with.
Really? And where do you get the?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there was some element that
He basically gave him away or sold him. He
The
sold-
idols?
No, the girls.
No,
Oh, the girls. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But we know what he valued because he went after the idols.
It wasn't concerned about the girls, it wanted his idols back.
I mean, were they?
The girls saw that their father had confidence in those idols and worked different things with them. So they took them, she could have took them, so he wouldn't know which way they went, how far, how fast.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Okay? Not that she was hanging on to it, but she took his crystal ball.
Yeah, because they said he was a diviner, so.
The word is teraphim,
Terrible, yeah.
okay? It's used in a number of places. Here in Kings and Hosea, 2 Kings and Hosea, they make references to the Israelites will live many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred stone. And here's where I think it was important: without ephod or teraphim. Now the ephod, we know, was God's legal divination, if you will. Was so that the priests could actually get sort of a word from him. They could ask a question and get an answer from the ephod. So it's the only sanctioned if you will, divining tool. But it's, obviously, they put this teraphim right in the same reference to the ephod. So I think, the teraphim in Zechariah, the teraphim have spoken vanity, being divined with, and the diviners have seen a lie, and they have told false dreams. So they're using, again, these teraphim, these idols, if you will. And Laban said unto him, If now I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have divined that Jehovah hath blessed me for thy sake. I think it's absolutely, at least a legitimate consideration, that Rachel may not have been as attached to the idols personally, as I think she did believe that they would potentially keep her father from coming after them.
Well, if she took
Nothing
them as
else.
good luck charms.
No, I don't think so,
If
yeah.
nothing else, she could always sell them.
Yeah.
Because she ends
I
up
think she might have
dying
been.
because of it.
Probably takes them.
She probably wasn't real happy with him over him giving Leah to him first anyway. She probably was still a little bit,
Absolutely, I mean, I think, again, you're talking about, I don't know if this is the 4th episode of the melodrama, or the soap opera, or the 17th episode of the melodrama, but.
and also, back when Isaac came in contact with him, and he said, now I see that you are from God. Now I see that you are with, he knew who God was, and he had used divination. He was a lot like Balaam.
And he makes reference to your father's God,
Yes. He was a precursor to Balaam.
right? And, well, and I don't know, maybe he wasn't unlike Abram's father.
He had a bunch of gods, why did she take those? Why did he seek those?
Well, again, because if we can accept, or if we agree that they were tools of divination, she took away his eyes. The eyes he was used to using to get that little bit of an edge, gotta have your edge, that's how you really get over, is to have some kind of an edge to see something somebody else can't.
They didn't understand God, so it's like witchcraft to them.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's ungodly.
Yeah.
It is not sanctioned by God. Like I say, really, the only sanctioned form was the priest and the ephod.
I just find it very interesting how, us as believers, we have all the gifts of the Holy Spirit, but on the other side, the enemy has a counterfeit for everyone. And if we don't, and sometimes if we don't move in the gift of discerning of spirits, we don't know which one's working.
Mhm.
Is it really of our Holy Spirit, or is it of the enemy?
Well, and-
Because they're so close, it's just a.
And if you
it's a
will,
counterfeit.
those that use the enemies, they're not worried about if the Holy Spirit's trying to mislead them.
Right, that's true.
Because chances are, he's not gonna be leading them in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form,
that's true.
I mean, obviously, it'll probably be more obvious, if they're getting some message going, no, be nice to that person. What? I know who you are,
No, I just find
Yeah.
that interesting, like,
Yeah.
you said these idols were the eyes that he used, for wisdom or divination, witchcraft, and that's just a counterfeit for what God has for real, of gift of wisdoms and gifts of prophecy, or
Mhm.
his gifts, it's just a total.
It's a counterfeit, it's, like you said, the counterfeit,
People
it's
still
perfect.
use them today, that's what people are ignorant about, people still use that.
Okay, so then we can go here.
Jim,
Yes,
if I might read some commentary that Mike Clayton
absolutely.
produced on this. To understand this act, we have to understand what these idols were about. The idols were carved of false gods, carvings of false gods which Laban worshipped. He had no doubt through his family, they were being blessed in some sort of love. to his family, Rena. Rachel had seen her father trust in these idols, little idols, and had heard him tell stories of giving them credit for the blessings of his life. Rachel bought into this bought into this and accepted it all as true. Along comes Jacob, and during the years of work and marriage to Rachel, he tells her of this new God, the God of his fathers and his grandfathers. When it comes time to leave Rachel, Rachel is in a bit of a spot. Does she forsake her father and his gods to follow her husband and his God? What if we just appear on the surface to be following the God of Jacob, but just in case he does not come through, we reserve something to fall back on?
Yep.
Now that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
Yes.
And at this time, we should all be staring at these words and asking ourselves a very serious question. Just how much of Rachel's attitude is in our lives today?
Yeah.
Yes, ouch.
Yes.
It is a very important word appropriate word to us.
Well, is she being Lot's wife,
Right, because
Yeah.
he was still just Jacob.
right?
Jacob at this time, his name was not Israel
Right.
yet.
Yeah.
So
Is, you know,
Israel hasn't come into
right, is she
life.
looking back? Which I think that implies. And I think that's absolutely legitimate, you know? And I don't know that there is a clear, definitive answer. I mean, I think there's an element that Rachel could have just been looking out, being an easer, and saying, I'm not gonna let him track us, or find us, or, you know, whatever. I know how to get to him, I know how to, you know. She could have been angry and said, I know how to get to him. I'll take what he values the most, because he didn't value us, obviously. So you know,
I learned a few
we'll
tricks
stick it
from
to-
him through the years.
yeah, exactly, I'll stick it to him, you know. I mean, there's a lot of places.